This is part two of my little rant. I did a video a while ago on when I resigned from my job for my hip injury, and
I
lately
see.
I've been seeing some very interesting YouTube posts like this one right here. YouTube is now increasing watch hours. Now I did a video breaking down, and I had to research this because there's always a industrial narrative that people are fed to believe, and then the underlying truth stays hidden. But I only was able to find one video that actually broke down the actual reality behind why YouTube is paying people less. Now, this affects everyone who wants to be on YouTube as a startup, not so much those who've been on the channel since, like, let's just say as far back as 2008 or 2011, 2015, and then the final induction, if you were just starting, would have been 2020, honestly. Anytime after 2020, you pretty much was getting hit by the rapid hidden changes that was taking effect. You didn't know it until 2025 when they rolled out some new changes. Actually, they did some sneaky stuff between 2020 and 2024, to be honest. So, you know, with that being said, I've been on the platform since 2008, and I haven't put in the effort like I should have. I now have four channels. I started with a channel that was supposed to be for anime music videos, stuff like that. But again, I didn't have the opportunity to put in the effort. I'll be honest, relationship drama. I mean, every time I had a new relationship, it was always, they would complain that I'm spending too much time on a computer. Now, all of a sudden, women are spending too much time on their phone. Hey, make that make sense. So, I, okay, I'll work an extra job because, again, at the time, it's still an issue. Women always like to spend, spend, spend. And of course, everyone I dated had kids, so that was even more so the issue. So, like recently, as this video states, I got injured on my birthday, June 17th, and then I waited a whole month pushing through until my hip got worse, and then I resigned for medical reasons. The issue I ran into, and I didn't know this part, then this is, I'm going to try to educate people on this. So if you're running into problems with resigning because of injury, you'll be prepared if you don't have a savings. I just saw two YouTubers react to a guy saying he's 50 and he's starting all lower because he felt like he wasted his life away being materialistic. Um, and yeah, I get that too. But I believe he was also trying to say he can't find a second income or he can't find a job either. He's burning through his savings and now he has to downsize. I believe that's what he really wanted to say. But that's what's happening to a lot of people. Actually, I can probably show you what I'm talking about. This guy here. And another YouTuber reacted to it. So, in a weird way, he resigned because of injury, but he said he was forcibly resigned because he was missing too many days. So, in my situation, I tried to use my days off after going to the hospital, and I had to think about things. Can't keep pushing through, so I resigned. All right, then I proceeded to do what the hospital said, get a doctor. That took a month, all because a new patient, they have priorities with current patients. All right, what can I do? So I wait a month, get in there, August 6th. I had pulled up to do the doctor thing like maybe the 14th. So get in there for August 6th. The next thing I did, I tried to apply for unemployment. Now here's the problem. When I applied for unemployment, if you remember all the so-called changes that were put into effect during December's beautiful big bill to supposedly remove Americans and immigrants for fraud, that's legit. And to be honest, I was screwed over with unemployment twice last year, and looks like I'm gonna have it again this year because I applied again this year and I got screwed over again. Because I worked in another state within the 18 months, so I had to pull from that state, and that state didn't even want to process my paperwork because I wasn't in that state anymore, and they didn't want to be honest. They really didn't want to be honest. Plus, when I was working 36,000 an hour. They said we only gonna pay you 8, which that's fucked up. So I applied, and they said, "Well, since you just resigned for a medical injury, can you work?" I said, "No, not yet. I gotta see a doctor." "Well, we can't give you unemployment." That was a big surprise because that has never been that way. They would give you time because you worked, you earned your benefits because you busted your ass to work. Now, you bust your ass, you work. If you go out injured, no unemployment. The next problem I ran into, and pay close attention to this, there are very few jobs, yes. There are very limited jobs, yes. I did a video, I found a job on Craigslist because, yes, there's a lot of ghost jobs on the very reputable job search sites. So, got jobs on Craigslist. There's a chance most of those jobs on Craigslist, if they do hire you, which there's a higher chance in hiring you, won't have benefits. That was another somewhat of a surprise, but I knew they didn't because first of all, I had already had state Medicare. They approved me for Medi-Cal, so I already had state Medi-Cal. They didn't even have a 401k. They decided to use a Roth, which they took back their percentage of match. Or they probably want to say, "Oh, well, when the stock market went down, that's your loss." Whatever. So the hospital wanted me to file for workman's comp. I said I can't. They didn't have benefits. And they tried to push the issue, but I said I can't. They didn't have benefits. Most of you would probably say, yeah, you should have. Well, you have to be careful because if you push for workman's comp and the job never suggested that was in your benefits package, even if you was offered a insurance benefit package, if you file workman's comp, you're going to be in the middle of a lawsuit because they're not going to pay it. They're going to find a reason to really technically not hire you, or they're going to put you down as a no rehire or whatever. So when I got hired, there was no benefit package, to be honest. Just put your money in a Roth. That was it. That was it. And when I talked to the HR about what happened, because I can only trust her to tell her what happened, which technically if you file an injury a month late, that's on you. The job is no longer liable. You have so many weeks to file, and that's in the benefit package too, if you ever get one. So she again didn't even offer. That's how I knew. She didn't even bring it up. She didn't even say, "Oh, you should have called. You should have filed for workman's comp." So that's how I know they don't have it because they didn't offer insurance. Sorry, my screen timed out. So by them not offering insurance, oh, and I have to stand up because again I have a hip injury, so I have to stand. So for the simple fact of offering no benefits, no health insurance or anything like that, I couldn't file for workman's comp. So that's the three things. You have to be careful what job you get because it may not have benefits. If you resign, you can't get unemployment. And then 3, if you never gotten a doctor, or if you got off of insurance and you never got a doctor, chances are, once you get hurt, you're going to have to wait or deal with urgent care in hospitals in between until you see a primary doctor. I personally didn't think I would need a doctor. I hadn't seen a doctor almost 4 years or three. Well, I mean, because I used to, but I got tired of that bullshit. Now I'm dealing with the bullshit already because she's delaying my referrals, my exams. In fact, she almost made me wait a week just to get prescription med refills. So, unemployment. To actually see that it's now restricted. And I'll zoom in on this a little bit. It literally says the rules for unemployment benefits have changed for 2026, including the federal eligibility criteria. The reason behind it, and they're going to have a little bit of a word salad here, but pay attention to how they do this. Okay, now, first of all, they're kind of blaming the American people for not working or not finding a job. Okay, so it's stating the changes is to modernize the unemployment system, addressing long-term unemployment. Again, that's when you're trying to find a job that you can enjoy or that's in your field, and encourage work participation. So now they're saying you're not trying to find a job fast enough. These changes consider the rise in the gig economy. So the problem with this is they're looking at people who are struggling, forced to do the gig economy job market, and they're saying, well, at least they're going to find a quick job, and no matter what they're getting, because now they're getting trimmed back on income, but they're working. So they saying now everybody else who's waiting for that, I don't know, dream job or that perfect job, we don't want you waiting on unemployment anymore. Go get your ass a gig job. That's what they're saying. So again, it's now the American people's fault. This is the fraud part, out loud. It's kind of fucked up, right? And of course, the state level is if you, and this never really changed, but you will be eligible if the if the job loss is through no fault of your own, which mine was not, work injury. So the thing is, because I can't work, and I'll show you why that is an issue. I think it was this site I looked at. Okay, one of the most anticipated changes, zoom in, involves a tightening of work search requirements. See, now this is saying it out loud, right here. Oh, thanks, I don't like that. Now, and then they're observing people who lightly looked for search jobs at the time at the site or not. People used to forge it. I used to fake it because I got tired sitting there. So now they're saying people weren't trying hard enough to look for a job. But half those jobs, one, they didn't hire. Two, it was like jobs super early in the morning, or some of them, the requirements wasn't something you were able to do, especially if you was a woman. So they're now saying historically beneficiaries have been required to actively seek employment, but the definition and enforcement of active are set to become more stringent. So now they kind of trying to say, oh, we dropped the ball to make people more accountable for searching for jobs. So now this is what they want you to do. Increase your contacts. Now you have to demonstrate a higher number of job applications, which to be honest, people are dropping hundreds of applications and getting turned down the next day. So what are they talking about? Then they say new online portals and standardized forms might be introduced for submitting work search logs. So now they want to track what jobs you're tracking. Like, dude, they have AI tracking these. And here's the catch. If you already logging on to a job site or a job search site, You're already in the system. You're tracked. The state can just pull it up once you. And then this is the killer. The killer part is they will ask on the form, what job, the name. They ask for the name, the address. They can go look it up. But again, they don't want to do that now. They want you to put it in all the time, the exact search, all this, so AI can verify it. And now they want to say, oh, now they want to confirm interviews, blah, 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 rejection. So, okay, so make sure, here's the thing. Keep your rejection emails. I've deleted most of mine because I was going to show how many times I got rejected. I deleted them. Because it's like annoying after a while. And now they want you to attend all these training job workshops and resume building, which is a lot of waste of time too, which is bullshit. So basically they're trying, well, the president has it where now they're making it like we're not trying hard enough, we're wasting time, we're not doing our due diligence, we're, on the system as fraudsters, blah, 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 blah. Oh, here we go. Impact on gig workers and self-employed individuals. Now, this is where they're forcing you to do gig work. This is not for gig workers. This is making it to where you're forced to do gig work and they want to see you demonstrating you're doing it. So be careful with this. This is another word salad. There's a lot of gig workers right now that can prove they're doing gig work. The people without a job, they want you to go do this and then show you're doing it. Again, a lot of scapegoating. So that's the thing. That's the thing. And, what I also found out is if you do get disability or your disability papers, and this is one, you could file this online. God forbid, and I'm having this problem now, God forbid you get a doctor that's willing to expedite the paperwork. And I told my doctor, number one, I got injured in June. I continued to take medication in high doses to push through the job until my hip got worse with more heavy workload. My coworker was dumping workloads on me. He didn't care to make it balanced and fair, so I resigned. And then I had to wait a whole month to see you. So it's like I've been out of work for a month. She didn't care. She was like, well, you should have filed early for a doctor. So again, now she's putting the blame on me. But I'm like, well, I tried to file for unemployment. That's what I told her. She said, great. I said, they told me I can't work. I can't get it. So try disability. Here's the paperwork. She said, well, I'm not filing it because I don't have no records on you. I said, well, I injured my hip. I told you that. She said, well, I can't tell. So be careful with that. If you get an asshole doctor, you're going to get screwed over. Because I've been to a lot of doctors, and a lot of you can probably contest to this. I've been to a lot of doctors where if I said I did something to have this pain, incapacitated pain, or just simply I hurt myself, right off the bat, that doctor is fully aware of your anatomy in general. And they would say, you probably did this, this, and this. I'm going to give you this type of medicine for this relief, that. Here's some other stuff to do this. Here's a brace, blah, blah. And if you bring them paperwork for like excused doctor notes or excused days off, they're going to sign it. And if they think you need more tests, they're going to give you a referral to get more exams to make sure the damage is not worse. This doctor didn't want to even go down that road. She basically said, I was on narcotics from the hospital. I'm trying to be on permanent disability. And because 1 year in back in California, because I used to live here, and I didn't get a doctor when I first got here, it's all my fault. And she's not filling out no papers from the state because she has no records on me. She's not going to try to guess. She wants physical, optical proof. I'm going to say optical because she wanted proof on her screen what type of injury I had. and she sent me out the door. And I literally had to wait almost a whole week to get my meds refilled based on how she felt, because she called all the meds I got from the hospital narcotics. Like, make that make sense. Narcotics, literally, narcotics. So, this is a learning lesson. I am still unemployed. It's going on 2 months. I'm running low on my savings. And I told her to her face, I'm going to just go ahead and go back to work, and I'm just going to just take whatever I got to take to deal with the pain, and just not even worry about it no more. Of course, she got smart with me, talking about, well, that's lying. Well, you're not giving me no choice. I've been out of work this long, and you're not trying to at least help the state give me benefits temporarily until I get my exam. Again, she didn't care. She said the state is uneducated and ignorant, doesn't know nothing about her profession. Like, she's the one who created the medical profession, and she didn't want to be disrespected for her skill set. And then she said a lot of people come to her complaining about her attitude, apparently, because that's in the reviews. And sadly, she had a 3.4 review, and I had no choice because every other doctor was available all the way into September, like end of August into September. That would have pushed me definitely a 2-month wait. And of course, the way she got me set up, it's going to be a 2-month wait anyway. Although she lied about expediting my exam so I can go back to work. I keep forgetting to shake the toggle. But expediting my exam to go back to work, I'm going to have to wait. So keep this in mind. Be very careful with this declining society. The cutbacks on the assistance and programs that helps Americans get back on their feet after years of hard work, hard labor, working in jobs. Because here's the problem. If the president want to claim we're on the system just to be on the system and we don't want to work, we're lazy, and they blame the immigrants too, why do we have so many homeless? Last time I checked, the people who actually don't want to work are homeless. They're not getting EBT. They're not getting assistance. They're actually on the side of a street with a sign begging for money. So who's really committing the fraud? Oh, people say, oh, well, the women with kids. Well, how about go after the men who should be helping? But that's not fraud. So be careful out there. It's hard to plan ahead when the system is being redesigned to not be in favor of you, but you got to pay into the system called taxes.